Hello, image design students. In this lesson, you'll make a mask to protect part of an image and then apply an effect to the rest of the image. Goals for the lesson: make a mask for an image, blur an image background. Masks. A mask is a special kind of layer that lets you hide or reveal some of the layers under it. A mask lets you make changes to the layer, the look of a layer, without changing the original. Getting started. We'll work on that in a sec. The duplicate layer command makes an exact copy of a layer. When you're working on an image, it's a good idea to make a duplicate of the image and then work on the copy. That way, you'll have the original image in case you need it. All right, let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is open up our GIMP program. So do that with me now. Excellent. And I prefer single window mode. Remember, you can change from single window to multiple window mode where you can click and drag your docs around how you like them. I prefer single window mode personally, and if you are missing your toolbox, remember that's in Windows dockable dialogues. Actually, the toolbox is just right here under Windows. If you're missing your tool options, the tool options are here under dockable dialogues, and you can also find your layers, channels, and paths underneath dockable dialogues as well. All right, so if you ever need to revert it back to its default layout, go to Edit, Preferences, and then you have to click Windows Management. And then you can reset saved window positions to default values and click on that and go OK. Close out GIMP and reopen it, and you'll be reset to default. The only thing you may need to do is put it in single window mode if it's not. Okay. Now we are going to open a file from the resources. So click File, Open. Where did you save your image design folder? Locate your image design folder. Locate the resources folder that you created inside. And I think we're just going to Unit 10 with the ball pit. I think that will work really well. And we'll click Open. So that's image 5. Okay, so make sure that you have your layers showing, and we're going to duplicate this later. So you'll right click on it and notice that you can duplicate the layer right there. You can also go up to the layer menu, which is all things layers, and duplicate layers that way, but to me it just seems easier to right click over here. We can double click on the bottom and we'll call that bottom image and hit enter, otherwise the name doesn't stick. And then we'll double click and we'll call this our mask. And then go ahead and hide the bottom image. Good job. Let's save, File, Save As, and we are going to put, as always, your first and last name comes first, and then we can just call this ball mask. So your first and last name and ball mask, and just make sure that it's in the right folder. You can see where it's being saved. Mine's in my image design and in my resources within my Unit 10 folder, and I'm just going to click Save. Perfect, and the file name shows up at the top left. Add to and subtract from current selection. To add to current selection and subtract from current selection, buttons those buttons let you change the shape of a selection you've already made instead of replacing it with a new selection. These buttons appear as tool options when any selection tool is being used. They are especially useful when using the fuzzy select tool because that tool creates selections for you. That may not always be exactly what you want. Okay, so we're going to use the fuzzy select tool. We're going to just select the orange ball here. So click on that. And then what they were talking about with let me save so you can see it. Add to current selection. Remember how I just have you hold down Shift to add to a current selection? Well, that's basically, if you just click that, then you don't have to hold down the Shift button. It'll just always be adding to your current selection. So threshold of about 15 usually works for me pretty well, and you can increase it or decrease it as necessary. I'm just gonna go ahead and come over here and click on the orange ball. I'm not having to hold down Shift, which is pretty convenient since I've clicked on that option there on the left. It won't show it to me. Okay, so now notice within just a few mouse clicks, I've got the whole ball selected. Layer masks. A layer mask lets you hide some or all of the layers under it, just as a mask that you wear can hide some or all of your face. If you see something through a layer mask, it can be helpful to think of that as a hole in the mask. Okay, so to add the layer mask, you can just simply right-click on that layer and do Add Layer Mask. The other way to do it is Layer Menu, all things layer. You can go to Mask, Add Layer Mask there. So I'm going to right-click because I just think that that's so much easier. And their dialog box is going to come up. So you want to add that mask to your selection of the ball that you've made, okay? And just go ahead and click Add. All right. And you'll notice that the background has disappeared, right? So basically, this is like, well, we'll explain it in just a second. Let's take a couple of steps. What I want to explain to you first of all is over here, you'll notice on your layer that it's showing your mask. And look what's in white, your ball, and look what's in black, what is transparent, right? So basically, you can add to your mask anything that you want just by painting white onto the board, I believe. So let me just, I'm going to switch this and I'm going to add white, and I just kind of want to see what happens when I just paint with white. So I need to get a brush because for some reason, my default brush, I have to click save. I've used all my RAM. My default brush is non-existent. So I'm just going to go ahead and paint in white on this layer. But first, actually, I think I need to click so that the white edge is around my painting. So I'm going to go ahead. Nope, it's not, it doesn't want to paint for me. Hold on. Oh, I know why. It's because I have the selection. So I need to go select none. Okay. And now look at when I paint. I've got white paint, and everywhere I paint white, I can see the image and look at my mask icon. That's pretty fun, huh? That's really cool. So what happens if you paint black? Because you'll notice the parts that are transparent are black. Well, let's switch the paint around and let's grab some black and let's see. Look at everywhere I paint black makes it disappear, right? That's pretty groovy. Okay. So if I draw a black paint right through the orange ball, I'm not gonna be able to see it. Okay. So does it freak you out now that I've just completely messed this up? You can play around with it and try it out. I'm gonna hit Control Z and just go back to where I was. Okay, so perfect. I've got my mask of just my ball that you can see, okay, and everything else is transparent. And basically, when you have a mask, the white part, and I know this doesn't look white, but essentially, that's kind of how the computer thinks of it. Anything white, you're going to be able to see, and anything that's black is going to be transparent. I know it's a very interesting concept, but hopefully it'll make sense. The only really way to make it make sense is to get your black and white paints and just go with the flow and just play around with it and see what that does. Okay, and then maybe what would also help you to be able to see is if I make that bottom image now visible, ta-da! Now you can see the bottom image through. Now, it's not totally obvious because it just looks like the same image that you actually have an extra orange ball sitting on top. But, you know, it's there. That ball is in this layer. The blur effect. Blur is a type of filter that distorts a layer, making an image appear as if you're looking at it through dirty glasses. Next, you'll add a blur effect to make the background more hazy. Okay, so let's make it obvious. Let's click on that bottom layer. Okay, you have to make sure that you have it selected. And we're just gonna go and change the filter to a blur. So this is what we meant by blurring the background. So let's go filters, blur, Gaussian blur. Okay, and you can play around. You've got a preview, so make sure that that's checked, and you can move it around so that you get it where you want it. So I can see my ball, I can see how my image is going to be affected, right? And you can increase your blur effect, make it look really obvious. So I'm going with about a 21, I like that. I'm gonna click OK. And now that you can see that the bottom layer is blurred, it's a little more obvious. I'm gonna hide and reveal the top mask layer. There's the orange mask, right? Okay, so is that not the coolest thing you've ever seen in your life? I'm sure you've seen cooler, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and go File, Save, everybody. Okay, and then I want you to File, Export As. And it's just going to be your Rachel Girot ball mask, and you're going to change the ping to a .jpg. Remember, you can also make your JPEG just by clicking at the bottom where it says Select File Type by Extension and scrolling down manually until you get to the JPEG. That's the other way. Remember to grab this dialog box and slide it over to the side so you can visually see your image before you click Export. Then once you've clicked Export, you'll have your little image optimization box here. Click on Show Preview in Image Window. It says my file size is 132. Remember, Mrs. Girot likes you get it up as high quality as you can. I can get 100% without going over 500 kilobytes. So we can certainly have this quality slider at 100% because we're still below 500 kilobytes. And then click Export. Excellent. So that's part one. Okay, so for part two, Mrs. Girot wants you to get creative. And that's the reason why I make these tutorials, because I personally thought, you know, yeah, you can do what somebody else does, but, you know, this is art. Let's get creative. Do you remember where to go to find images that are free for your use? CreativeCommons.org. Yes. Okay, so these are images that people have donated for community use. You're going to search the comments and put in a topic. So you can also use your own photography, and this is a really good point I need to make. If you use your own original photography to do artwork in any of these classes, you can enter that work in competitions. So if this would be a great point for you to use some of your original work. If it is your original work, do me a favor and leave me a comment in the Dropbox that tells me this is my original photograph, and I'll make a note of that when I save it so that when we have competitions that I'm hoping to get us more involved in, you will be able to enter that work. So let's see, what is something funny and quirky that I could look up? All right, the first thing that's coming to my mind is pigs. I don't know why. So I'm just going to type in pigs, and I want something that I can modify, adapt, or build upon. I'm not using it for commercial purposes, so I'm just going to click that box there, and then you get to decide what type of media you're looking for. I'm looking for images, so I'm going to click on the Google Images, and this will bring up images that I should be able to use without getting into trouble here. I'm going to go with this image right here. Love it. Okay, so I've got my image. I'm going to right click on it, and I'll go Save Image As and find my image design folder, get into my resources, and go into that Unit 10, and I will call this my pigs to make your fun art with. We're going to go back into our GIMP, and we're going to open pigs. Okay, so there it is. It's right in my Unit 10 folder. Opening that up, and when I just open a file like that, it creates a brand new document for me. Okay, so cute. I've got my, I definitely want to showcase this front man here. Okay, so I'm going to have to get creative and figure out how I'm going to use my selection tools to only get him selected. My challenges with selecting this image are the fact that the color tones on him are so similar to the color tones in the dirt and everything else around him. So if I try to use this fuzzy select tool, chances are I'm going to end up selecting other pigs, but I'm going to give it a try anyway. I'm on this add to current selection. I'm probably going to, there's a subtract, and there's an intersect. That's fun. I think I'm just going to put it on the normal. I'm thinking that this one's the default. Not really sure. I've never switched them around. I've always just used Shift to add and Control to subtract. So I'll be holding down my Shift button, and I'll be selecting areas of this pig. And you'll notice that it's not working out real well. I'm going to hit Control Z, go back where I was. Okay, and what do I need to do? I need to, holy cow, I still see some pieces on there that look like they're selected. I'll go to Select None. How about that? That's way easier. Okay, I'm going to increase the thresholds. That means it's going to increase, you know, the number of pixels that it pixes that are similar to the one that I click on. So I'm just going to click. Oh, see what happened immediately? I started picking my other pig. But that's okay. I'm going to hold it down. Oh yeah, nope, that doesn't work. So in this particular image, I'm going to go Select None. The fuzzy select tool is not the best, okay? So what I'm going to do is, I liked the pen tool. I'm going to try doing paths. I'm just going to give this a try. So if you remember this, this is where you just click, 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 click. I might, who knows what's going to happen. Let's just see how I do. I'm going to just keep on clicking around this pig, and I'm thinking I'm going to be able to like adjust my selection. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to do that. And then when I get to the end, I'm going to go File, Save. I'm going to have to name this now. Rachel Girot and Pigs is what I'm calling it. And I better put mask. Pigs mask. Okay, so first and last name for your project and whatever mask it is. And save that. The reason why I'm saving it is because my RAM is kaput and I need I need my RAM. All right, adjust these curves at all, and I can. So I can just grab on those curves and adjust them to the shape. This is pretty fun. We do this and there's handles too that you can adjust, and it takes a little bit of practice. I've just done a lot of this kind of work before, so yeah, it just takes a little bit of practice. So if you decide to go with this tool, you know, have fun with it. Don't beat yourself up with it. I've just done it a lot, so kind of good at it. The pen tool is actually pretty sweet. We use that a lot in digital arts. It is a must. If you're going to be a graphic artist, you have to learn how to use your pen tool. You just have to. There is no way to be a graphic artist and not use the pen tool. It's just, I mean, it's just physically impossible. Okay, so I was able to get the entire pig selected except for, I don't know what that little thing is. Except for this area over here. Ah! All right, well, what we're gonna do is we're going to go to select from path. And so what that's gonna do is it's gonna create a selection. Oh, look, it even connected my endpoints for me. Yay. So I've got my cute little piggy all selected, and oh man, I totally forgot to create a duplicate layer. Shoot, you forgot to tell me I'm gonna right click on there and go duplicate layer. Okay, so I'm gonna call this one pigs. I'm gonna call this one my bottom image like we did in the other one. And I'll just call this one my pig's top image. Okay, sorry about that. Make sure that you're working in your top image, and we're gonna create a mask, right? So we're gonna right click and add the layer mask. Okay, right click and add the layer mask. And remember it says to click the selection and click add. Okay, and so now you can see your mask, and you can see underneath it because that bottom image was still visible. But if you hide the bottom image, you can see that now it's gone. Okay, and so what are some things that you can do while this pig face is selected? You could go to your colors, your brightness and contrast, and you could increase the contrast of your cute little piggy's face. Well, maybe you can. I thought you could. Might have to do that. Maybe I have to click on the actual image. Sometimes, you know how this little white thing is going back and forth? So I think that when the mask is selected, that means that the only active thing going on is the mask. I have to come over here and have the white part go around my image so that when I go to adjust the brightness and contrast, I'm actually editing the image. There we go. Yeah, so that's something to remember, that that little white box will indicate whether it's your image or your mask. That's the active selection at the moment. So if you want to adjust brightness and contrast, you can do that. If you want to get silly, ding, click OK. Remember to click save a lot, free up your RAM. If you want to colorize your pig's face, you could certainly colorize your pig's face. There's a lot of things that you've been learning how to do that you're welcome to do. Remember, if you want to make your pigs black and white, to decrease the saturation, you can do it here on the colorize image wheel. If you do that, remember you have to adjust your brightness and contrast again because you lose all your whites. So you have to up your contrast so you can get some pure whites in there. And you might have to play around with the lightness slider as well. So probably wasn't the best way to go about getting the pig's face in grayscale. What are the other ways that you can get grayscale? With your hue and saturation tool, remember you've got that saturation slider. You can also do saturation that way. It's not doing anything now because I've already removed the color. But hue and saturation is a great way to get it black and white. And let's see, image mode grayscale is the other way to get your image black and white as well. Okay, so right now I've got my black and white pig head, and I could add a filter to my pig head if I wanted to. Let's see here, click OK. Not really crazy about how that one worked, so I'm going to go to I'm gonna hit Control Z. I liked that filter though, that was fun. What was that one called? That was called Hurl. Think if I could do it a little differently though, I would, looking at the preview, and I would change the settings a little bit. Let's see. Might have them look a little bit more, less pixelated. Okay, let's see what randomize looks like. I don't think it's gonna let me do that. Certain things I'm running out of RAM on. So I'm gonna click OK. Yeah, I kind of like that filter. Okay, so perfect. I've got my little face just the way I like it. I'm gonna put my clicker over on the mask so that the mask is active now. And I am going to save, and I'm going to go select none because I don't need that selection anymore. And now I'm going to work on my bottom image. Okay, so what kind of fun do you want to have with your bottom image? Do you want to do a brightness and contrast in here and up your contrast? I always recommend boosting your contrast. It makes things a lot more vivid. And then what kind of filter can you apply to your background? So you can apply any one that you want. It doesn't have to be the one from the lesson. In fact, I'd really love it if you guys could get more creative. Okay, that one was pretty fun. I think I would go a little bit more crazy with that filter. I really liked that one. So what was I doing? An artistic cartoon. I think I'll make it even more cartoony. I'm going to increase it. I like the black on there, so that is cool. So I'm going to see, is that what I like? I'm going to try it. Perfect. Boom. There's my art. Make me some art. Yeah. Okay, save. And now export it. File. Export as first and last name, pigsmask.jpg, JPEG. Click export. Boom. Look at that. Click on your file preview. Uh-oh. I've got some optimization to do. Look at that. I'm already at 1.1, so I need to cancel. Cancel. Okay, I need to cancel this. Why am I doing that? Because I didn't slide it over and I couldn't see my image, and I need to make sure that I can see what I'm doing. So file, export as. Okay, and you're going to slide it over so you can see your image before you click export. Okay, now when this box pops up, you're going to show your preview in the image window, and right now at 96%, I'm at 1.1 meg. And what did I say you need to be down below? 500 kilobytes, okay? So let's scroll this quality down. Okay, I'm at 486.2. Does the quality of my image still look awesome? Yes, it does. So I only need about 79% quality for this to look amazing and still be under 500. Do I want you to drag it all the way down to like 80, 85 so that you're only at 11% quality? No, I don't, okay? I don't want you, because look, it just starts to break up and it just starts to get pixelated, and if we try to enlarge it, we can't see it. It just doesn't look good. So bring it up as high as you can, you know, and still be underneath your 500 kilobytes. So I got mine at 77. I'm almost at 500 kilobytes. I've got a lot of good quality. I can blow this up. I can zoom in on it. It's going to look great. And then click export. Very good. And then you're just going to submit that to the Dropbox. Let's see here. Okay, check your work. Do you like how the image and the blurred background turned out? Well, hopefully you did a lot more than that. All right, so you duplicated a layer. You used some selection tools. You could have used any selection tools that you want to. At this point, you should be a pro at that. You created a layer mask. Woohoo! And you created some filter. You adjusted both of your layers. You made it artistic. You did something original and unique.